For most of human history, life was shaped by chance. Genes determined the color of our eyes, the strength of our hearts, and the limits of our intelligence. For thousands of generations, humans could not control their genetic destiny. We inherited the random shuffle of DNA passed down from our ancestors. But that age of chance is ending. Science has given humanity a power once reserved for gods, the ability to rewrite the code of life itself. The story begins with a molecule discovered in the middle of the 20th century. Deoxyribonucleic acid, known as DNA, became the language of biology. Every living thing on Earth is built from its 4 letters: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. These letters form instructions for building cells, organs, and entire organisms. To change DNA is to change life. For decades, scientists dreamed of reading this code. By the early 2000s, the Human Genome Project completed its first full map of human DNA. It revealed over 3 billion letters and thousands of genes responsible for human traits. That map marked the beginning of a new era. An era where evolution was no longer only guided by nature, but by human hands. Today, we stand at the frontier of genetic engineering, a field that allows scientists to edit DNA with unprecedented precision. With this power, humanity can now correct diseases, design traits, and even reshape the future of the species. The question is not whether we can. The question is whether we should. To understand how humans are learning to rewrite life, we must first understand how genetic editing actually works. At the heart of this revolution lies a tool called CRISPR. It stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats, a complex name for a remarkably simple idea. CRISPR was first discovered in bacteria. These microorganisms used it as a defense system, cutting apart the DNA of invading viruses. Scientists realized that this natural system could be repurposed to cut and edit DNA in any organism, including humans. Here is how it works. Imagine DNA as a vast library of information, a string of billions of letters. CRISPR is like a pair of molecular scissors guided by a GPS. It finds the exact spot in the genetic code that scientists want to change, cuts it open, and allows new information to be written in its place. This process is fast, accurate, and cheaper than any previous method of genetic manipulation. With CRISPR, scientists can delete a faulty gene that causes disease or insert a healthy one to replace it. They can modify crops to resist droughts, create mosquitoes that cannot carry malaria, and explore the possibility of curing genetic disorders before a child is even born. It is as if humanity has discovered the keyboard that types the code of life. Every letter can now be rewritten, not by evolution over millions of years, but by deliberate choice in a laboratory. But this technology is not only about curing disease. It has opened the door to something even more controversial: the creation of designer humans. For the first time in history, parents could one day select the traits of their children: eye color, height, memory, intelligence. The line between healing and enhancement grows thinner with every discovery. The science is breathtaking. The implications are profound. We are beginning to understand that DNA editing is not just a tool for medicine. It is a force that could redefine what it means to be human. The idea of altering the genes of future generations sounds like science fiction, but it is already becoming a scientific reality. In a few laboratories across the world, the first steps toward what some call designer babies have already been taken. In 2018, a scientist in China shocked the world when he announced that he had genetically modified twin girls. He had used CRISPR to make them resistant to HIV. The announcement was met with outrage. Many saw it as the crossing of a moral line the moment humanity began editing not just health, but heredity. The event triggered global debate. Should parents be allowed to design the genetics of their children? If we remove disease, what about enhancing strength, intelligence, or appearance? Where does medicine end and manipulation begin? In theory, designer babies could eliminate thousands of genetic disorders. Diseases like cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, and muscular dystrophy could disappear forever. Families who carry deadly genes could finally break free from generations of suffering. But once this power exists, it is nearly impossible to contain it. The temptation to go further to engineer perfection grows stronger. Imagine a world where wealthy parents can afford to design smarter, stronger, more attractive children. Genetic inequality could emerge, where social class is not defined by money alone, but by DNA. Those born through natural chance may be seen as inferior to those shaped by technology. Society could divide between the genetically enhanced and the genetically ordinary. Supporters argue that this is simply evolution guided by human intelligence. Opponents warn it could create a future ruled by biology and privilege. History has shown that whenever humans gain power, they rarely use it with perfect wisdom. The rise of designer babies is no longer a distant theory. It is the beginning of a new era, one where evolution itself becomes an act of human will. The idea of altering the genes of future generations once belonged to science fiction, but today it is stepping into reality. In laboratories across the world, scientists are learning how to design life at its very foundation. In the year 2018, a scientist in China made global headlines when he announced the birth of twin girls who had been genetically modified. He used a gene editing technique to make them resistant to a viral infection. The news sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Many saw it as the moment humanity crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. The event raised questions that reach far beyond science. Should humans have the right to alter their own evolution? If we can remove disease, should we also be allowed to improve traits like intelligence or appearance? When does healing turn into enhancement? The potential benefits are extraordinary. Gene editing could erase thousands of genetic disorders that have haunted families for centuries. Diseases such as cystic fibrosis and muscular dystrophy could vanish completely. Every child could be born healthy and free of inherited suffering, but the same power that can heal can also divide. Once it becomes possible to design physical or mental traits, not every family will have equal access. Those with wealth could afford to create stronger, taller, or more intelligent children, while others could not. A new kind of inequality could emerge, one built into the very biology of the human race. This technology also raises deep ethical questions. If humans begin shaping their offspring, will diversity itself fade away? Will beauty, talent, and intelligence become products instead of gifts of nature? Some see this as evolution guided by human hands. Others fear it as the beginning of a future where perfection replaces humanity. The rise of designer babies marks a turning point in the story of life, a moment when our species begins to write its own future in the language of genes. Every great scientific leap in human history has brought both hope and danger. Fire gave warmth and light, but also destruction. Nuclear power brought electricity to cities, but also the threat of annihilation. Now, the ability to edit DNA stands as the newest and most powerful force of all. At first, the promise seems limitless. Scientists dream of a world free from genetic disease. Children could grow up without fear of inherited conditions. People could live longer, stronger, and healthier lives. Genetic engineering could even slow aging itself, helping humans reach lifespans that once seemed impossible. Imagine a world where doctors can rewrite a person's DNA to reverse illness, where farmers grow crops that survive harsh climates, where species on the edge of extinction are brought back through genetic repair. This is the bright side of genetic perfection, a future in which science helps nature thrive. Yet perfection comes with a price. Every time we change DNA, we change evolution. Genes work in complex networks, and one small alteration can have consequences that no scientist can predict. A gene edited to increase intelligence might also affect emotion or creativity. A gene that strengthens the body might shorten lifespan. Beyond biology, the moral questions grow deeper. If we can design perfection, what happens to compassion? Will society still value people who are different, or will imperfection become unacceptable? If every flaw can be corrected, will humanity lose its sense of what it means to struggle and grow? There is also the danger of control. Who decides what perfection looks like? Governments, corporations, or individuals? Throughout history, those in power have often tried to define what makes a person valuable. Genetic technology could give them the ultimate tool to enforce it. The promise of genetic perfection tempts us with progress. The peril reminds us that perfection without wisdom could destroy the very essence of humanity. The future depends on how we use the tools we have created, whether to uplift life or to reshape it in our own image. The human story has always been about transformation. From stone tools to space travel, each generation has pushed the boundaries of what it means to be human. But never before had we held the power to redesign life itself. Today, scientists can read the human genome like a vast instruction manual. In laboratories, they are learning not just to read those instructions, but to rewrite them. Genes that cause disease can be silenced. Genes that protect against illness can be strengthened. Entire strands of DNA can be copied, repaired, or even replaced. The technology that makes this possible is advancing faster than anyone expected. Gene editing tools are becoming more precise, more affordable, and easier to use. What once required years of research can now be done in weeks. Soon, these capabilities may move from research labs to hospitals and even private companies. But as the tools of life become more accessible, the responsibility becomes greater. Who will regulate genetic enhancement? How will societies ensure that it is used for healing rather than control? The answers to these questions will shape the next chapter of human evolution. Some scientists believe that humanity may eventually take charge of its own biological destiny. Future generations might be immune to disease, resistant to aging, or capable of surviving in environments far beyond Earth. We may no longer adapt slowly through natural selection, but through deliberate design. In that future, evolution would not be random. It would be a choice. Others warn that this power could divide humanity into two species. Those who can afford enhancement may rise to new heights, while others are left behind. Inequality could become biological, written into the very structure of DNA. If that happens, society could fracture in ways we have never seen before. The future of genetic technology will test not only our intelligence, but our ethics. It will ask whether humanity can handle the power to shape life without losing the meaning of life itself. Every gene we alter is a decision about who we are and who we wish to become. Our future will depend not just on what science allows us to do, but on the wisdom with which we choose to do it. The age of genes is not just about medicine or biology. It is about the rise of a new kind of civilization. For thousands of years, progress has been driven by tools made of metal, stone, and code. Now, the tools of the future are made of life itself. Imagine a world where agriculture is perfectly efficient, crops that never fail, animals that resist disease, and ecosystems that restore themselves after disaster. Scientists are already engineering plants that can pull carbon dioxide from the air faster than forests, cleaning the atmosphere while feeding billions. In this vision, the Earth itself becomes a living machine for healing. The same power that transforms agriculture could also reach the stars. Space agencies are researching ways to use gene editing to create microorganisms that produce oxygen, recycle waste, and grow food on Mars. Future astronauts may depend on biology as much as engineering. Human genes could even be adapted to resist cosmic radiation or low gravity. The next generation of explorers may not wear armor. They may carry evolution within them. But there is another side to this new civilization. As biology becomes programmable, it also becomes vulnerable. A simple line of code in a genetic sequence could have consequences for entire ecosystems. The more we learn to edit life, the more we must learn to protect it. Just as the digital age created hackers, the biological age may bring biohackers who can alter life with a single command. To prevent this, nations are beginning to establish global safeguards, combining cybersecurity with biotechnology. The challenge is immense, but it is necessary. Humanity is standing at the dawn of the biological era, where every discovery opens a door to both creation and destruction. Our cities may soon be built not only with steel, but with living materials that grow, adapt, and repair themselves. Hospitals may use genetic libraries to print tissues and organs on demand. Entire industries may revolve around the design of living systems. Life itself will become the new infrastructure of civilization. For all our intelligence, morality often lags behind discovery. History shows that when humanity gains power faster than wisdom, the results are unpredictable. Nuclear energy gave us both electricity and the atomic bomb. Artificial intelligence now promises progress, yet brings new risks every day. Genetic power may be the greatest test of all. Some philosophers warn that the ability to design life could lead to a loss of humility. For millions of years, nature has been the teacher. But when humans become the architects, who teaches us? We may need new ethical systems that evolve as fast as our technology. There are scientists who argue for strict limits. They believe humanity should focus on curing disease, not enhancing abilities. Others say that self-directed evolution is inevitable, and that resistance will only slow progress. This debate defines the century we live in. For the first time, we are discussing not how to survive, but how to transform what it means to be alive. The most important question may not be whether we can create perfection, but whether we should. If we change everything that makes us human, will we still recognize ourselves? Will emotion, compassion, and creativity still thrive in a world designed for efficiency? Or will humanity become a species that values optimization more than wonder? The balance between innovation and restraint will shape not only our biology, but our identity. We may soon find that the future of evolution is no longer written in DNA alone. It is written in the choices we make, every time we touch the code of life. One of the most extraordinary frontiers is the creation of synthetic life. In laboratories around the world, researchers have built the first artificial cells, organisms that did not evolve in nature, but were designed from scratch. They can copy themselves, repair damage, and perform tasks like breaking down waste or producing fuel. Synthetic biology blurs the line between living and non-living. It combines engineering, chemistry, and genetics to build life as if it were software. If perfected, this could lead to self-healing materials, biological computers, and even ecosystems that restore damaged environments automatically. Imagine a world where polluted oceans clean themselves, where deserts grow green through engineered microbes, where cities breathe like forests. This is not fantasy. Early prototypes already exist. Scientists have designed bacteria that can consume oil spills and others that can generate clean energy through photosynthesis. But synthetic life also raises new fears. If an artificial organism escapes into the wild, it could spread in ways we cannot predict. It might compete with natural species or disrupt ecosystems. To prevent such disasters, researchers are developing safety systems that allow synthetic organisms to survive only in controlled environments. Even so, the risk remains that one mistake could rewrite the balance of nature. The creation of artificial life marks the beginning of a new evolutionary chapter 1, where humanity is not just a part of nature, but its collaborator. It is a partnership that demands caution, respect, and humility. Centuries from now, when future generations look back on this era, they may not remember the machines we built or the empires we created. They will remember the moment humanity learned to write in the language of life. The decisions we make today will ripple through time. They will shape every child yet to be born, every species we protect or alter, and every world we inhabit. Our legacy will not be measured in monuments or technology, but in the DNA of the living future. If we act with care, the power to edit life could heal the planet, extend existence, and help us reach the stars. If we act without wisdom, it could divide, destabilize, and even destroy what we are. The choice belongs to us, and it must be made with the full weight of understanding. Humanity has always been defined by curiosity. It is that same curiosity that brought us to this point, the moment when life itself becomes our greatest invention. We stand at the edge of creation, not as gods, but as guardians of a future that is still being written. The next chapter of evolution has already begun. The question is no longer what we can create. It is what kind of world we wish to leave behind. If this exploration opened your imagination, stay with us. There are still countless mysteries to uncover, countless worlds to explore, and countless stories waiting in the hidden universe. Subscribe, and together we will continue the journey into the future of life, science, and the destiny of humankind. Humanity stands at a crossroads unlike any in history. For the first time, we are no longer simply the product of evolution. We have become the authors of it. In our hands lies the power to heal, to enhance, and to create life in ways our ancestors could never have imagined. But with that power comes a question that echoes through time. Will we use it to lift each other up, or to build walls between us? Every discovery brings light, yet also casts a shadow. The future of genetics will reveal not only what science can achieve, but who we truly are as a species. Compassion, wisdom, and responsibility must grow as quickly as our technology. If they do not, progress will lose its meaning. The age of genetic creation is not coming. It is already here. The choices we make now will shape the destiny of every generation to come. This is no longer only about science. It is about the soul of humanity itself. The story of life is being rewritten, and the next chapter begins with us. If this journey into the future of life inspired you, stay curious, stay aware, and subscribe for more cinematic explorations into science, discovery, and the hidden universe that connects us all.